Welcome back then guys to LSPlaysFM and for a brand new FM21 tactics video here on the channel. Now of course previously whenever I've gone through tactics videos, the ones I have been using had been 5 at the back formations. They will be linked above me for you to have a look at if you want to have a look at those other tactics. However, this one today we're going to be focusing on is a 4 at the back and a 4-1-2-1-2 narrow diamond that I have had an awful lot of success while using. Now in terms of who I've used it with, I've used it in a personal save with Atalanta. I've also used it on 2 other test saves, one with Manchester City and one with Aston Villa. So we've got a good mixture of different teams, and with each and every one of them it has done wonders for those sides and it has scored one hell of a lot of goals. Now then, let's get into today's video. We'll have a look quite at how the tactic works and how it's gone on for those teams. Let's get into it. Now here we are actually looking at the tactic itself. This is with my personal Atalanta save where I'm doing like a bit of a Glory Hunter-esque type save in my own free time. It's not one that's on YouTube or on Twitch. On YouTube I'm doing my Road to Glory series with Kaiserslautern, and on Twitch I'm doing my current Norwich City save. But on my personal save here with Atalanta, I have just completed the very first season with the club using this 4-1-2-1-2 tactic, and my goodness, it has done a lot better than I ever expected it to happen. Just so you're aware, the team was expected to come in 7th place in Serie A, and they do start in the Champions League and everything like that. I'll run through with you quite how it got on in those various competitions in a sec, but I'll go through the tactic first of all. So the tactic itself, as I say, is a narrow 4-1-2-1-2 diamond. You'll find down in the description below a link to a Dropbox link and also to the Steam Workshop link. So if you want to use either of those, you can do. And of course, if you're on say Xbox or somewhere where you can't download the tactic, feel free to just copy exactly how it works. Before we do get into the tactic itself though guys, if you do enjoy this video here today, please do chuck a like down onto it. As I always say here on the channel, it massively does help the channel out whenever you leave a like on a video. And also if you do go and use the Steam Workshop link that I have in the description that I've just mentioned, if you do like it and find the tactic works, please do chuck a positive rating onto the link as well. It always helps out the tactics and so on the workshop page. Finally though, if you do enjoy my content and want to see any more of what I have here on YouTube, such as my FM21 tactics videos or any of my FM21 Road to Glory series with Kaiserslautern, the Red Devil Revival series, then do make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell to notify when any of my content here on YouTube goes live. Now though, let's look at this tactic. The tactic itself has a sweeper keeper on defend. It then has 2 wing backs on support on either side. It then has 2 ball playing defenders. They can be central defenders, but in my side we have ball playing defenders. You then have a half back, and the half back is, in my opinion, one of the most vital roles in this tactic, because what happens with that role is when the wing backs push up on the attack, the half back drops in and becomes a free central defending partnership type thing. So it's really, really vital how that halfback works, and to have a good player who can both be a little bit decent technically on the ball, but is tall, is able to do their defending duties, everything like that. In my case, we had Martin Darun, who was fantastic at that. It's also worth noting that with the halfback, I have him told deliberately to take fewer risks to make sure they don't push up too high, they don't do any stupid passes, anything like that. We then have a Carolero and a Mazzala on attack as the 2 central midfielders. They are both told to run wide with the ball in case of both of them, and then they have all of the default instructions on there as well. We then have an attacking midfielder on attack, and then finally you have a poacher and an advanced forward. I have found out that the poacher can actually be used as a complete forward on attack. Both work quite well, but in the case of my Atalanta side, I used them as a poacher because we had Zapata, who is a perfect poacher in this side. The only other player instruction just to be aware of is that I have both of my wing backs told to stay wider, and I also told them to mark the specific position of the opposition's wingers, just because I found sometimes they would let those players run too far and wouldn't actually cover them. So I just made sure that they were told to do that. But other than that, there's no other player instructions in this tactic. In terms of the actual mentality and how the actual tactic works, we play on an attacking mentality. The reason being is this is a very much counter-attacking focused style of play. So when we get the ball, we want to be risky, we want to really pump it up the field and try and do it as quickly as possible. So play on that attacking mentality can really help with that. When we're in possession, we are very narrow. We pass into space. We underlap on both sides. We obviously cause focus play through the middle because we have a four-man midfield. We play out of defence, but we then have a slightly more direct passing directness, a much higher tempo, and we like to be more expressive. Other than that, there's no other tactics that are selected when we're in possession of the ball. We then, in transition, we like to counter-press, counter, distribute quickly. All those normal stuff you expect to see on a counter-attacking type of side. And then we distribute to the fullbacks and the centre-backs, and we take short kicks with the goalkeeper. Again, we like to play it to the defenders, and then we basically get up the pitch as quickly as we can do once it's been distributed to them. In terms of when we're out of possession, finally, we have a higher line of engagement, a standard defensive line. I found just with Atalanta, my defenders weren't overly quick, so we had a standard defensive line. You could, of course, change that if you want to. We have a standard defensive width, and we play a more urgent pressing intensity, and we prevent the short goalkeeper distribution. That's essentially how the tactic itself works. It honestly, counter-attacking wise, I haven't had a tactic like this that just is so good at getting the ball up the pitch and into the back of the net. It's so good at doing that. In terms of set pieces, I only have one actual set piece I've set up, which is my attacking corners. My defending corners I just left on default. I just found it worked quite well. But then when we attack corners, we set it up like so to play to the far post, and we replicate that on the far post on the opposite side of the pitch as well. Other than that, I have no other set pieces set up. I have no training set up. I have no opposition instructions set up. I leave all that to the assistant. I'm very lazy with those types of things, but that is essentially how the tactic itself works. Now, in terms of how the tactic and the side got on in Serie A for Atalanta, it went bloody well. I will put it honestly, guys. In terms of the competitions, we won Serie A in our very first season. It is May 2021. I've literally just finished the season only yesterday as I'm now recording this. And yeah, we won it by 2 points on the final day. Juve, I'll be honest, Juve did slip up. But even so, it was a fantastic first season. I have made no changes to the side. I've sold or loaned out a couple of players, but I brought no one else in. So it's just a standard regular Atalanta team. And we won Serie A despite being predicted to come in 7th place. We also reached knockout stages of the Champions League and got to the semi-finals of the Coppa Italia. But even so, the fact we won it is phenomenal. We also got the Golden Boot winner in Luis Muriel. I found the advanced forward in this tactic just scores goals for fun. Overall, he scored 41 goals across his entire season. You'll see down the bottom here, I think it's not behind me, indeed it isn't. You'll see he scored 41 goals in 48 games. He's not spectacular by any means, but yeah, he just banged goals in for fun. The tactic as well in terms of how it worked with all the analysis and everything like that, if I show you all the various reports, we go into the analyst report as well so you can see quite what went on with it all. Basically, in terms of general points, you can see it here on the screen on the right hand side, especially going forward, goals per game, XG per game, shots per game, all of that stuff. It was by far the best in the league, 100%. We scored the most goals in the league. We had the second best defence in the league. We only conceded, I think, 30 goals all season. And Atalanta's defence isn't great. We don't have a great set of goalkeepers either. So the fact it was like that is pretty good. The conceded per game and XG against per game was better than the vast majority of the league and everything like that. It honestly worked fantastically. In terms of the scoring side of the game, if I show you on here, we were considered to both be aggressive and clinical. By far the most clinical side in the league, mainly because of the fact the chances that we created were really, really good chances. They were always really deep into the box. Because it's such a counter-attacking style of play, you do get a lot of good chances with it, and we were still very aggressive up there as one of the most aggressive sides in the league in terms of actually having shots per game. In terms of the defending side, as I say, we were decent. We weren't fantastic, but I'd say most of that issue comes from the fact that Atalanta's defence isn't great, yet we were still very, very good indeed. We faced some of the least shots of any side in the league. Only Juventus had a better rating than ourselves, and the opposition conversion rate was still very low as well. We were considered to be relatively quiet and impenetrable. So you can see, basically, this tactic works really well. It does require you to have decent wing backs. They've got to be quite athletic, and having a very quick advanced forward who is good off the ball is really, really handy. It's not necessary. I will show you in a sec quite what happened with Aston Villa and the fact that even though they don't have great players, it still works, and also that halfback role can be especially vital. But that is essentially how it worked with Atalanta. We'll go into now having a look at Manchester City and then Aston Villa, and seeing quite what went on in those 2 test simulation saves that I ran as well. Here we are then, first of all, for Manchester City with their test save. I'm here at the beginning of the first season. There's no transfer window enabled in season 1. There won't be any transfers made at all with Manchester City's side. This is how the side will be lining up with the 4-1-2-1-2. Essentially, it will be Ederson, Cancelo, Diaz, Laporta, Mendy, Fernandinho as the halfback. Of course, it will be Rodri, Silva, De Bruyne, Aguero, and then Sterling. It'll be roughly in and around how looking like that. It will, though, depend obviously on injuries and stuff like that. But when we simulate through, it'll be interesting to see quite how the side does get on. In terms of the Premier League, where City are predicted to finish, they are predicted to finish in 2nd place. So let's get to the end of this season and see how City got on in the Champions League, FA Cup, League Cup, Premier League using this tactic. Here we are then now at the end of the first season with Manchester City, and as you can see on the screen, the tactic worked quite well for Man City. They have managed to win the Premier League in the very first season of FM21 here on this save. We go into the competition space. You can see exactly how everything worked out. Man City finished first, just ahead of Liverpool on 2 points. They reached the semi-final of the Champions League, losing to Real Madrid over 2 legs. They won the FA Cup as well, and they lost in the Carabao Cup quarter-final to Arsenal. Now, of course, that is all fantastic. They won the league, they won the cup, they won a domestic double. They almost got to a Champions League final as well. Didn't quite manage to make it, unfortunately for them. But the thing which I spotted as soon as I just loaded this up, which I cannot quite believe, is that Raheem Sterling finished not only top goal scorer, but he also managed nearly 50 goals across the season. He got 32 in 31 Premier League games, and he managed 47 goals across 51 games in all competitions. This tactic, because of the fact that Sterling at the beginning of the game can't actually play striker, he hasn't learnt it properly, he's done phenomenally well in order to do that job. As an advanced forward, of course, with his pace and everything like that, he is fantastic. And the off the ball as well, massively, of course, does help. You can see as well, Raheem Sterling got by far the best average rating across the game. And I actually have a strange feeling that Raheem Sterling may have been given Ballon d'Or in the very first season. I just want to double check. Let me have a quick look. If we have a look for the World Player of the Year, indeed he did. Raheem Sterling was given World Player of the Year for 2020. Mainly because of the fact that he got, at that point in time, he had 24 goals in 21 games at January the 1st. So, yeah, it worked quite well for old Raheem, did this tactic, that is for sure. And it's not just in terms of the individual goals, in terms of the overall goals that occurred in the game. If we have a look, Man City scored the most goals across the season. I think they had the 2nd best defence, if I remember correctly. No, the 3rd best defence, behind only Manchester United and Liverpool as well. But once again, you can see this tactic likes to score goals. They nearly reached 100 goals for the Premier League season, and it still defends very well too, and they managed to secure themselves a domestic double. Now that's Manchester City wrapped up. Let's now go and have a quick look at the Aston Villa team, and then we'll see quite how they got on as well. Here we are then now for the final simulation, this time with Aston Villa using the 4-1-2-1-2 tactic. Now, in terms of how the side will be lining up roughly using this tactic, of course, for this simulation, it's going to be Emi Martinez in net, Matty Cash at right back, Ezri Konsa and Tyrone Mings as the ball-playing defenders in this side, Matt Targett at left back, Douglas Luiz then as the half back, McGinn and Grealish are then playing as the central midfield, 2 with Grealish, of course, as the Mazzala, Barkley in the attacking midfield role, with then Ollie Watkins and Bertrand Traore as the 2 strikers. I am expecting a similar result to how Sterling did, despite the fact that Traore can't play the striker role. I'm presuming, considering how pacey he is, it'll probably go quite well, considering how good the advanced forward does work in this tactic. So what we'll do is we'll proceed forward. I will see you in a few seconds, and then we'll see quite what goes on with Aston Villa using this tactic. Here we are then, guys, now for the final part of this tactics video. We're going to see how Aston Villa got on in their various competitions, and I would recommend, guys, if you haven't seen already, if you're a Wolves, West Brom or Birmingham City fan, you look away now, because using this tactic, Aston Villa, who were predicted to finish in 18th place, I will point out, I'll just show you on the club info just so you can see, they were predicted to finish in 18th. They finished up in 4th position. I have no idea quite how they've done as well as they have done, but they managed it. As I say, No idea, but fantastic stuff from Aston Villa. They basically proved how well the tactic works if you're a lower side using counter-attacking football with it. It works bloody well. You can also see that Bertrand Traore, and unsurprisingly, considering how well Sterling and Luis Muriel did, finished up as top goal scorer with 27 goals. He had a fantastic season for Aston Villa. In terms of the other competitions that Villa took part in, they got to the 5th round of the FA Cup and lost to Chelsea. They got to the 4th round of the EFL Cup and, unsurprisingly, they lost to Chelsea. So apparently Villa can't beat Chelsea, but they did very, very well indeed in the Premier League itself. In terms of how many goals they scored, how many conceded, well, just so you can see, they were up there with the 3rd highest goals tally in the entire league, despite being Aston Villa. They scored 79 goals, even scoring more than the likes of Man City and Chelsea, only behind United and Liverpool. And in terms of the goals against, though, it wasn't quite as good. They very much were a team who were like, if you're going to score 4, we'll score 5. Because they had, what is that, the 7th worst defence in the league. They conceded 62 goals across 38 games. They had a positive 17 goal difference, despite finishing up in 4th. But again, it proves that even if you've got a poor defence, this tactic can just outscore sides. I'm just interested actually to have a quick look. Did they have any crazy results? Yes, they did. They had a 6-1 there against Chelsea, a 6-1 there against Sheffield United, a 5-0, a 4-2, a 5-3. So you can see there exactly kind of how it does work in terms of some of the games. You get a lot of goals, but you also concede quite a few as well. But fair play, Aston Villa, on securing yourselves Champions League football. Overall though guys, that just about wraps up this tactics video here today. And I've got to be honest, I am loving this tactic. I have just begun using it in my Twitch save as well with Norwich City. If you're interested in that, by the way, there will be links down below in the pinned comment and so on for my Twitch series. But I'm excited to see quite how it gets on. I'm also excited to carry on with my personal Atalanta save and see quite what this tactic can do. I really do hope, guys, if you do decide to use this tactic, it works just as well for you as well as it has for myself and as well as it has done for Manchester City and Aston Villa. You can just see how good it is, especially going forward. If you do enjoy the video though, guys, please do chuck a like down onto it. As I always say, it massively does help the channel out. And you'll also, of course, find the links for the tactic down in the description. If you do use that Steam Workshop link, guys, please do put some positive feedback onto it if you do like the tactic yourself. And finally though, guys, if you are looking forward to seeing any more of my content, such as my FM21 tactics or any of my FM21 Road to Glory series with Kaiserslautern, then do make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell to notify when any of my content here on YouTube goes live. But guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again next time.